What's up, Pro Flippers? On today's episode, we are talking about feedback, and more specifically, negative feedback and how to get it removed on eBay. So on today's episode, we're talking about how to get negative feedback removed from your eBay name.
So when we talk about negative feedback, we're getting it removed. We're talking about feedback that is undeserved negative feedback. So we're not talking about like removing feedback that maybe took too long to ship out an item, or it was the wrong item, or it was a bad customer experience. We're not talking about those things. Those happen sometimes and they're unfortunate and we don't mean for them to happen, but we're talking about feedback that is unwarranted, undeserved feedback, and can you actually get it removed from your account? So we're going to dive into that.
And it's more of like a retaliation. If somebody's upset about something, they might think they can strong arm you or hold you to the feedback that they're going to hold you to do something. So
that's under eBay extortion policy.
Exactly. So that's one of the things that we want to tell you guys, that it is not legal to do that. And if it does happen to you, because it's happened to us before, you definitely can have it removed.
Yeah. So why is feedback on eBay so important? So on a lot of different platforms that there's reviews. You do read reviews of sellers, buyers, and that kind of thing. Even on Facebook Marketplace, they ask you to leave like a 5, 4, whatever star review. But when I'm buying something on Marketplace, I honestly never look at that. Like, I just want to say, do they have the whatever piece of furniture, whatever I'm looking for at that time? Do they have it? I need it. Can I meet up with them?
But eBay, you do. You absolutely check that feedback, and you look at the percentage of positive versus negative feedback, but it is the 100%. Like that benchmark is to keep your feedback at 100% positive, and that's what you really strive for in this business.
Yeah, that's our goal, is 100%. And so when we get a negative feedback, it's affecting us. So we want to make sure that we get that handled and get it removed if it was unwarranted. So like we said, on eBay, it is more important than any other platform for your feedback. Buyers look at it. It affects your ability to be seen in some of the algorithms, so where your item is placed. So we want to make sure we can keep that at 100% if possible. Now, in our business model, which is like we're only selling like 100 items a year. So feedback, we don't like, it's a little bit easier. We're not dealing with thousands of items where something could slip up and you get a negative feedback. Yeah. But then you also run the risk of it's a higher percentage versus 1,000 items. So there's, give or take on that. So
absolutely. Catch-22 on that. For us, negative feedback will definitely bring down our percentage very, very quickly. Yeah. So, but we strive for that 100%. So how can you make sure that you're striving for the 100% feedback, that your buyers are totally satisfied? They're excited to get your item and give you positive feedback.
How are they excited for it?
Yeah, no, how do we do that? So what are some of the steps that we can do to keep that positive feedback in there versus getting the negative feedback?
Oh yeah, keeping a good customer service is huge. So like we definitely preach under promise, over deliver. Our listings are always, we say everything in the listing. We're not saying it's in mint condition. We're saying like everything that's in the listing. So
it's used item. You want to make sure your buyer has the proper expectation of that item when they do get it. That's one of the biggest ways to ward off negative feedback. If somebody's getting something and it's not as described, you didn't disclose something that was wrong with it, that is definitely somebody will get upset about that and possibly leave you negative feedback on that item.
Yeah, we've had, and that's happened to you back in the day when you used to use those words, mint condition, beautiful, like pristine thing. So, but we don't really use those anymore. So now most of the time, like we even get messages like, oh, this is in better condition than I thought. We take pictures of every dent or every whatever. It's a used item. Expect there to be dents, expect there to be scratches, whatever, and take pictures of all those things. You don't ever want an item to show up to a customer and you didn't tell them about a crack in something. You want them to be happy. So go ahead.
No, I was going to say that's what we strive for, is definitely under promising and over delivering on the item, so you have a happy customer. Back in the day when I started this business, my goal was to sell items. No matter how I had to do it, I listed the item as mint condition. I listed the item so I would attract more buyers. The problem was when they got that item, because eBay, you don't see the item before you buy it, before you pay for it. You have to actually pay for the item, and then the item gets shipped out to you. So that's one of those things that you don't know exactly that you're getting exactly what the seller is promising. So you have that opportunity really that you could get an item that wasn't what you're expecting, and that's where you'll leave negative feedback, or your buyer will leave negative feedback. And those are the type of feedback you cannot get removed. You can't, if it's warranted, if something on your end was wrong or done wrong, you can't have it removed. And if it's something that's not warranted, then you definitely can get it removed. For whatever reason, the person leaves you negative feedback and you did everything right, your description was right, everything was right, you can't have it removed.
And there's some instances that, mistakes happen. It's business. You're shipping out something, maybe you missed a labeled 2 shipments and they went to the wrong person. So now, like, that person's like, I got the wrong item, they could leave you negative feedback. But if you keep good communication with that customer, then say, oh, I'm so sorry, and you fix it, like, then they're not going to leave you negative feedback.
Exactly.
Because most normal people would understand, you take care of it and get them the right item. They're not going to leave you negative feedback, but they could technically because they got the wrong item.
But the other thing is, it's possible when you're doing everything right in the customer service and they still give you negative feedback, you can call eBay up and still have it removed when you can prove everything you did. It was an honest mistake. You fixed it in a timely manner. You corrected it. You had everything done right. eBay will get your back on that. They'll see that and see that they had no reason to leave you negative feedback when you did. It was an honest mistake and you fixed the mistake. Everything went smoothly. It wasn't like you waited months to get back to the buyer. You did it very promptly and got it done. eBay will remove that negative feedback. So another thing that would happen maybe is you ship something out, it gets damaged in shipping, it gets to the buyer, and the buyer's upset. Automatically, they leave you negative feedback and said, this is not as described, this is not what I ordered, all that kind of stuff, and they didn't elaborate on it.
That's more likely to happen in our case.
Absolutely. And that's one of those things that you can totally, that's where you have to figure out what's going on. Did this item get damaged in shipping? In our cases, we're under promising and over delivering, so the buyer should be happy with the item. If there is something wrong when they get that item, it's definitely not something on our
usually
problem.
Damaged in shipping.
Exactly. And that's one of those things that you just need to work with your buyer to get it fixed. And then if they still leave you negative feedback, eBay will remove it once you get it all figured out and get it straightened out.
Yeah. So we'll talk about why eBay says you can have feedback removed first, and then kind of how to go ahead and do it. So according to eBay, anybody who's trying to do feedback extortion is a reason to remove feedback. So we kind of touched on this a little bit. If somebody's trying to, like you said, strong arm you, like trying to get you to, I'm going to leave you negative feedback, or they left you negative feedback because you didn't include something that you said, or that was a different listing, or something that just was not included in the listing, or whatever it is. Even we've had people that we've heard it before. Another one is a partial return. Okay, well, the item is what you delivered, but something was not what they expected maybe, but even though it's correct in your listing, but then they say, oh, I need a half of the item back in return or whatever.
Or I'm giving you negative feedback.
Or I'm giving you negative feedback. They're not allowed to do that. So you can even, say, well, I'm happy to take the return. And they're like, no, I don't want the return. I just want you to give me whatever money
partial
off,
refund.
A partial refund, or I'm going to leave you negative feedback. They're not allowed to do that. So that's would be considered extortion.
Yep.
So did you have anything?
No, definitely something that you want to be aware of moving forward in your sales. The buyers are not allowed to do that. And if they do, you can have it removed for sure.
Another one under eBay's policies is feedback manipulating, which is members exchanging feedback just for feedback, which I don't even really know how they would do that without actually buying something, but they're trying to game the system essentially. So just trying to build each other's feedback up, maybe like selling a whole bunch of dollar stuff and for trying to get positive feedback. So don't try to do that because it's not allowed. So it will go against eBay's policy. And feedback misuse, which is, it says any misuse in their terms, and so that's a little vague.
Broad.
It's broad, so that's good though. Really, it kind of leaves us some room to do. But they're also talking about like comments should match the rating. You shouldn't leave a negative comment with a positive rating, and vice versa. So they should match. But any misuse is kind of broad, and that kind of brings us to where we can talk to eBay and tell them what had happened. And so
did you say attacking character too?
No, I didn't. That was not, it's not in their terms, but I would say that would be under any misuse or feedback extortion. That could be under both of those.
So some type of negative feedback that would attack your character, where they're leaving a feedback, they're leaving a sentence, 2 sentences or something like that, attacking you. That's one of those things that you can totally have removed. eBay will remove it for
We'd had that with one of our members. I remember it was completely attacking her as a person versus the transaction that happened. So if you're going out, like, that's not allowed. Like, you can talk about the transaction, but if you go after somebody as a person, that's not okay.
Yep, absolutely.
But people are kind of crazy sometimes. So one thing there's two things you can do really to get those negative feedback removed. So once if you have good communication with your buyer already left you negative feedback. Maybe they left it like in a rash decision, like they got the item, it wasn't, and then it turns out it was damage in shipping, like you said. You can ask the buyer to do revise their feedback, but you have to send them a revision request. So you as a seller have to do it. So, and you only get 5 of those per 1,000 feedback you have. So you have to use them sparingly.
Wisely. Make sure that you're doing the right thing so you don't have to use these, but you only have 5 to use.
Yeah, you have 5 of those to use. So like in that, what you're going to say?
I will add in, we've never done this way. So we've never gone to this point. We have had negative feedback removed, but it's a different way. So this is one of the ways that eBay recommends it being done.
So you could do it that way and ask your buyer if you do end up like some people do make rash decisions. Like, you're in the moment, you just spent this money and you got this item and it's broken because of shipping and you didn't realize it's a shipping claim or whatever, and then your seller's good communication, then they come down and everything's good, and then you could ask them, hey, would you be able to do a revision on your feedback now that we've worked this out? So the other way is to contact eBay and get on the phone with a rep. So you can contact them. If you go to ebay.com, you can ask. Sometimes it takes you a couple of clicks to get through to get your phone number. They know your phone number once you log in.
But
get a call back. And they usually call back. We have fairly quickly call back. So call back fairly quickly, get a rep on the phone. Every once in a while we have to ask for a supervisor if a rep can't help you. But that's how we've done it in the past.
If you know what you're doing is the right thing and you know that there was no warranty on, or am I saying that word right? Warranty?
No.
Warrant for the negative feedback that the person gave you, like they had no reason to do it. Don't get turned off if you talk to a rep and they're like, I can't remove this, you can't do anything. Call back and get somebody else, or go to a supervisor, and call back another time.
Can you help me? Are you able to help me with this, or are you able to change feedback? Because if they're not, are you able to remove the negative feedback? Because if not, could I speak to your supervisor, speak to somebody who can? And they usually will try to get you with somebody.
Such a great point. Definitely don't waste your time with somebody if they don't have the authority or the power to do it. Make sure you're going up the chain to get to that person who does have the authority.
We did do that with PayPal the other day. That was a lot of fun. We wasted like 30.
That's a great example.
30 minutes on the phone with a rep.
The rep that we spent the time on with the phone was telling us, you don't have any option. You can't do anything with that, until we finally said, okay, can we speak to your supervisor? And she's like, oh, absolutely. Let me get you my supervisor. And the supervisor got on the phone and like, oh yeah, no problem. We'll take care of this. It's just give me a couple minutes, fill out the paperwork and do all this. And then we'll get you this taken care of. And that was through PayPal. eBay's going to be the same way. You'll have some reps who don't really know what the heck they're doing, and some reps who will know what they're doing. They've been there for years. They know how to do it. But the biggest, like Melissa said, the biggest thing that you need to ask is if they have the authority to have the feedback removed.
I was waiting for you to ask that because I've heard him say it hundreds of times, maybe not hundreds, but I've heard you say it a lot. Like anytime you're talking to any customer service, you're like, are you able to help me with this? Or, if not, can I speak to somebody who can? And I don't know how you say it, but something like that. And I'm waiting. I'm like, okay, I don't think she can help us. We're still going around in circles. We're going around in circles. It's not going to happen. Are you going to ask? And I'm like, fine, I'm just going to ask. So I said, so ma'am, can you do anything to help us? Or can we speak to your supervisor? And she got us on the phone. The supervisor was great. So
just know that you can. If you can't get the rep, you can always hang up, call back. If you can't get the rep to do something, go to the supervisor. Even if that supervisor won't do it, you might have the wrong supervisor. You can hang up and you can get back in touch with somebody again and try to go through a different rep. eBay's got tons and tons of reps, and some of them are good and some of them don't know what the heck they're doing. So you just need to make sure that you're on the phone with the right person.
So those are 2 great ways that you can get your negative feedback removed if it was not deserved, if it was a extortion, if it was against your character, and you can get it removed. So
in summary, don't stress out if you get negative feedback that is
don't freak out.
The buyer has no reason to leave it for you or had no reason to do it at all. Don't freak out. You totally can have it removed.
I wanted to add too, when you're talking to customer service, and this goes for any customer service, but you're talking to customer service, the biggest thing you need to do is be polite at first. Like firm, confident, but polite. Like you want to get you were trying to ask them to do something for you. So if you get on there and you're like, I'm pissed off, like I need this removed, this was not what, they're not going to help you. Like any customer service. So be polite. You're always very good. You're polite, and then you get to a point, you're like, I know, like you're firm.
I get heated, and I get heated in the situation, and I start getting really upset when they can't do anything, and that's where then I have to tell them, listen, this is not about you, this is about the situation. I apologize if what I'm doing right now is upsetting you. I'm just very frustrated that you're not getting understanding what I'm trying to get you to do, and that's where you have to go to a supervisor. You have to get to the point, but you just have to make them know they are getting paid by eBay to be on the phone with you. They don't trust me. They really don't get paid enough money to do what they're doing. But it's one of those things that you have to be polite. You have to to realize they are not the enemy. They're just trying to facilitate some type of resolution between you and eBay, and they sometimes don't have the authority to do what you need them to do. That's where, going to a supervisor and trying to get to that point is where you need to go.
Yeah, but if you feel like a feedback was left for you and it was not right, like it was not a good situation, like the buyer should not have left the negative feedback, you definitely get in touch with eBay. Don't just do their chat. Get them on the phone.
Yeah.
Like if you do the chat and they say, sorry, there's nothing I can do. I mean, chat, that you cannot hear emotion. You can't, it's just not, maybe they can help you, but for the most part, getting on the phone, and you might have to call back again and get a supervisor, and they can help you. They really can. If it's not warranted, maybe, now you got me saying it. I don't know if that's the right word either, but then they can help you. And we've had it done. Just be polite, be firm. Like, this is what happened. And they did not need to leave this negative feedback. We worked through, so you can see all my messaging back and forth and how I tried to help the customer, and they were being a very difficult customer, or whatever it is. So, or they left it. That's another thing, is sometimes they leave it and then they vanish. Like, you tried to solve the problem and you're sending messages. That's another one that eBay will go in and be like, okay, well, they haven't responded to anything that you're sending them. They ghost you, and then so they will remove it too. So
absolutely. So awesome. If you guys want to learn more about this flipping game that Melissa and I call our business, you can check out it over at
freeflippingcourse.com. So we'd love to help you some more tips and some mistakes to avoid. And we'd love to see you there.
You guys rock. Have an amazing day, and we'll talk to you on the next episode.